Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good night, wherever you may be on this wild and wacky stamp planet of ours. And I've had some stamps come in, so I thought I'd go through them with you and see what's what. Now, these are German, so these will be added to my West Germany collection. And I've released them from captivity so that they're lying out here. And this looks to be artist August Macker. And here we have ladies shopping, which they like to do. Bundespost, it says there, Deutsches. And that's a nice colourful modern stamp. Not too modern, because the walls did come tumbling down, did they not, in Berlin? Well, that's quite nice to start. What have we got here? An old favourite. I think everyone has this. 10 Pfennig Deutsche Bundespost. Do have a lot of those. Nice and tidy, isn't it? Efficient, you may say. German efficiency. Next, we'll have a look at what this is. Again, we're on to the hundreds here. So when I say 100, it's around about the fall of the Berlin Wall. This is a Berlin stamp. Weltgaskongress. 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 Now that I know how to say it, it's obviously gas lamp. The Congress of the Gas Lamp Fanatics, 1991 in Berlin. Just, I would say, on the fall of communism in East Germany. Gas candelabra. I think candelabras we all know, and that's a nice example there. So well done to all the people who are supportive of gas. And here we have, I think this may actually be a unified Germany. I'm not sure. Whenever I see brief centrum, I see the end of, individual post offices around the country. Not just around Germany, but around every country. But that's a nice sapphire. I don't know if it is. I don't know if it's a sapphire. But I do know that this says Brandenburg, where the famous gate is. Again, Bundespost, just about, I would say. Brandenburg would be in Berlin, so it's right on that borderline there. Bit of a map stamp going on there. And also the coat of arms. That's quite nice. Kleinkar, maybe. I don't know. I like to practice my German. Here we've got a Europa stamp. So Europe and GB, they're all in some sort of congress together with regards to stamps. Mostly definitives. They tend to be the same colour across Europe and the UK. In fact, back in the day of George V, they had to change a few colours around to match Europa. Who'd have thought that? So here we've got Deutsches Bundespost on the side, and we've got some more German here. Entdeckung Amerikas. Entdeckung Amerikas. So is that the discovery of America? It looks like a Spanish person there and an Aztec maybe. So maybe. Interesting story that these stamps. And why would Germany be interested in that? I don't know. Here we have a nice pair. Ulsen, it was posted in, so it's an earlyish one. By early, I mean probably 60s. Yeah. Again, it's a fortification around individual towns that they're celebrating. 100, so this, and it's also pretty modern, isn't it? And it's the 750th year Privileg für Messen in Frankfurt, Deutsches Bundespost. So, this is a coin from 750 years ago from Frankfurt. Wow. They do care. Next we've got, we must turn it upside down for the language. 13 Weltkongress der Internationalen Handelskammer, Hamburg. And why not? Whatever Handelskammer is, I don't know. Is someone's handing over something or other card for cash? Maybe. We'll move swiftly on. We won't guess. We will simply observe, my dear Watson. Here we have 2000 Jahre später. 2000 Jahre später. Speyer. Deutsches Bundespost 60. So probably late 80s for that one. Here we have a character, Ludwig Wildhorst, 1892 to 1891, so that's wrong. 1812 to 1891. What he is, I don't know. If you know, let me know in the comments below. Handsome fellow with spectacles and pork chop sideburns. Yeah, I'm sure he's very, very famous. Now we get this again, and here we have the tractor stamp, which again is very common. But it's, it's a nice stamp. If you like tractors, if you like machines, the rise of the machines, then you probably want that in your collection. Space, again, technology series, so possibly the tractor was one, and then the spacecraft, or is that a submarine, is the other. But again, it's the machines. Let's pull out another interesting coat of arms stamp here. Mecklenburg Vorpommern. And you can see where that particular state is there. Mecklenburg Vorpommern. And we have, presumably, 2 of those are for Mecklenburg, and the other 2 are for Mecklenburg, and the other ones are for Pommern. I don't know. Maybe there's a German expert out there. Here we have birds. That's a lovely eagle. Sea Adler, so sea eagle for cash. Say Eagler. Say Adler. Adler, if you know anyone called Adler, it is eagle. And say, S-W, is sea, as in the ocean, but smaller. Famous women. Yes, they do exist. Therese Gierse. Therese Gierse. From the Famous Women release. There were probably about 40 of them in stamps. Maybe a couple of women who were also famous that didn't make stamps. Or didn't make it to stamps, I should say. Okay, very old, 50s, late 50s, I'd say mid-50s. Nice nonetheless. This one has turned its back on me. We need to turn it up. Oh, here it is. Honecker, was that maybe? I don't know. But again, it's a very common stamp, and that's why it turned its back. Here we have more stuff to read. Goethe, Schiller, Denmark, Weimar. Don't know, to be honest. I mean, I tend to know the names, but to put them all together, I don't know. And equally, I don't know this. Made in Germany, so an actually English language on a German stamp. That's got to be a first and only, surely. Wow. It's got the German colours there too. So that's quite an interesting deviation from stamping. Wow. Here we have, again, one of those 60s stamps. We won't tarry too long. And here, I think we're back to this Brandenburg Gate again. This could be quite an early West Germany stamp. Truth is, I don't know. More famous women. They get everywhere. Here we got Christina Teusch. Christine Teusch. Yes. Cancelled. Yep. It's 50 valuation. Nice. I'm actually getting quite a few of these elderly ones. Lorsch Hessen. Lorsch Hessen. We like a bit of German. We like a plane too. The plane. Historische Luftpostbeförderung. Ich liebe historische Luftpost. Luftpostbeförderung. I could get away with being a German, I think. Yes. Come on, we'll try some more German here. Actually, we'll go back to art. So here we have a picture of a horse, my lovely horse, Franz Marc, from 1880 to 1916. So possibly killed in the Great War. That's beautiful. That is art. You know, he hasn't just rode a horse. He's painted something there. With a horse with his back to... I don't know. But it's art. It ain't a pretty picture. It is pretty, and yet it's not a pretty picture per se. Here we have a photograph of somebody. This is going to be pretty late Bundespost. 1876 to 1967, this guy. His name was Adenauer, so Konrad Adenauer. Of course, he was the first Prime Minister after the fall of the Nazi regime in the Deutsches Reich. And he had been in politics prior to the rise of the Nazis. Well, he was around that time, you know, he was in opposition, basically. And then opposition was quashed, I may even say. And he had to go either into hiding or anyway, he was so well recognised and respected that they did, you know, suggest that he... I don't know the history, but I think he was possibly the first leader of a democratic Germany after the fall of the Nazi regime. So that's of interest, I suppose. I see. Well, here we have something. We'll call this the unfinally moment because it is quite a nice unfinally moment. 150 Jahre Briefmarken, Deutsche Bundespost. Yeah, well, the Deutsche Bundespost means something different to the 150th Jahre Briefmarken because, as you can see there, good Queen Vic, the queen of stamps, the penny black, the queen, she's the total queen. She started it all with the Minister Rowland Hill, and her first image was put on the stamp at age 17. She was older than that then, so 1840, I'm not quite sure, she'd be in the 30s maybe. But also at the same time, other countries then started to follow suit from Gross Britannia, England, Royaume-Uni. And here we see a Bayern, ein Bayern Kreuzer, and franc, 1 franc. So we're looking at Bayern here using the franc and the Kreuzer, so a bit of a crossover at that time. Be interested to have a German stamp from that era. And then also we have the European Union here, so all the countries celebrating together this sort of postage thing. But that's quite a nice stamp. So we've seen English language and an English queen on a German stamp. We will call it that for now. There are still a few more that I will... Oh, I've had this a few times. There's still a few more for me to dig deeply into, but we'll leave it at that. I was hoping to use a new camera today. I tested it. I bought myself a new micro SD card to put into the side of my very poor computer. It didn't accept it, obviously. Anyway, I managed to do a bit of filming on the camera, and it's worse than this. So I'll be sticking with, I'll be sticking with this phone to record on, and keep my fingers crossed. Right, that is it for now. Have a fantastic day, everybody. By the way, the thumbprint at the top is from the post office near to me. So I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.